So I was having a little study, and I was, kind of in my study comparing versions, and it was pretty interesting when I came across this passage in James 1:13. It says, "Let no one say that when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one." Now the King James says, "Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man." And, thinking back to the book of Genesis, it says that God tempted Abraham. Now, this seems like a apparent contradiction in the King James Version here, because it says that he doesn't tempt any man. But if we go to our original language and we do further study, and we just don't take our English version at face value, we do some deeper study into the word, you'll actually see that this word tempt, actually the ESV properly translates it tested. Um, I went through a bunch of my word study books, and the best rendering is like to prove, or something like that sort of connotation. To try to prove. God is said to try or prove men by adversity in order to prove their faith, and there's our reference to Genesis 22:1. So the apparent contradiction, you just don't do a surface English reading, you go into the original language. It helps you quite a bit. Also, comparing translations. A lot of translations, they render it as test rather than the word tempt. The ASV, it uses the word prove. The Darby uses the word tried. Of course, the AV 1873 uses tempt. ESV uses the word tested, and most of these use the word tested. The Christian Standard Bible. Um, for the majority, a lot of them use the word like tested to prove, that sort of stuff. It kind of gets a little bit weird there when you use the word tempt instead of test. So, just a simple going to the original language and comparing Bible versions, you can kind of get a better understanding. I also came across a pretty good commentary that I thought I would share. This was Norman Geisler. His book was When Critics Ask. It's a popular handbook on Bible difficulties. And here's our reference. And it says, if God doesn't tempt anyone, then why did he tempt Abraham? So he posts the problem here. It says the Bible says God tempted Abraham, Genesis 22:1 in the King James Version. And Jesus taught his disciples to pray to God, do not lead us into temptation. How then can James say of God, nor does he himself tempt anyone? James 1:13. So he poses the solution here. God did not tempt Abraham nor anyone to sin, rather he tested. Notice how he goes back to the original Hebrew and renders it a little bit better than the King James does. He tested Abraham to see if he would sin or would be faithful to him. God allows Satan to tempt us. God allows Satan to tempt us, but James is correct in saying, never does God himself tempt anyone. God cannot be tempted by sin, since he is absolutely and unchangeably perfect, nor can he tempt anyone else to sin. When we sinful human beings are tempted, it is because we allow ourselves to be drawn away by our lustful flesh. The source of temptation comes from within, not from without. It comes from the sinful man, not from God. While God does not and cannot actually tempt anyone to sin, he can and does allow us to be tempted by Satan and our lustful desires. Of course, his purpose in permitting and not producing or promoting evil is to make us more perfect. God allowed Satan to tempt Job so that Job could say, when he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. God allowed evil to befall Joseph at the hands of his brothers, but in the end Joseph was able to say to them, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." So in the tempting, in our as the King James renders it, or the testing, as the Hebrew denotes, it encourages us. It builds our character. Even as Joseph said, God meant it for good. God allows certain things in our lives to purify us, to conform us more into the image of Jesus Christ. He allows these things in our lives to happen for that very purpose. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. So God bless.